Hey everybody, I'm Jody Vance.
And I'm George-Affleck.
And it's time for...
Not Stealing Vance, UnSpun!
I'll always love you. I'll always love you. No, we're going to continue with UnSpun Podcast. We got to keep you politically informed here and take the spin out of it all, right?
Right. Yes.
I mean,
we'll talk. Well, you got a new show starting next week, so we're pretty excited about that. So, on just real quick on Check TV, but also online Thursday nights at
8 o'clock, right after Jeopardy. September
right after
8th
Jeopardy. Nice.
Right? I know. I'm really excited.
Hot lead in.
I'm excited.
We need a hot lead in.
We need a hot lead. Maybe we can get this put on check. I'll talk to them and see if we can get on the check website with UnSpun Podcast and keep things rolling. I mean, why not?
Get one show off the ground first.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, though, and it's breaking news as we're recording this. We're recording a little bit early, and it just moved on Twitter.
My hair's still wet. It's like, yeah, Trisha Barker. Yeah, you just told me this. Trisha Barker. If you're in Vancouver, was running for school board, second term, NPA. Good commissioner.
Board. You said school board. You said school board.
Did I? Okay. Park board. It's subliminal. I want to get rid of the park board.
Yes. Trisha would be great on school board. Anyway.
Yes. And council. Anyway, she's bailing. She's not. It doesn't appear that she's running for another party, which is so many opportunistic politicians in Vancouver.
Do you want me to read her thing? Let me read what she. Today, I gave the MPA board my resignation as park board candidate with the Nonpartisan Association. I'm grateful to the board for the opportunity to run and the support they gave me during the 2018 campaign and my subsequent election as a park board commissioner. It has always been and will continue to be my goal to be the voice for seniors and people with disabilities in our parks and recreational facilities here in Vancouver. I intend to find a way to continue this important work. And I have to say, before we go any further on the politics behind what might have unfolded here for Trisha, I do not know anyone more focused on helping people with disabilities and helping seniors have access to the things that are so important to both those slices of our community, those important pieces of our communities, those pillars of our community who have been forgotten and lost by many on agendas that have, pie in the sky, virtue signaling ideas. Trisha has been hard and fast. And when people are like, she's park board and park board sucks. No. Trisha Barker has a full-time job caring for people in the last moments of their lives and making joy for them, as well as being a park board commissioner, trying to make sure that there are curb cuts and parking spots and, beach mats with access, right? The ability to go swimming where your legs might not carry you down a sidewalk, but you could walk, up to your chest in Kit's Pool, but you can't get a reservation. Don't get me started. But anyway, Trisha Barker, I have great respect for her. And George, as you well know, every single time you called to talk the tough stuff through, she picks up.
And she, which I should text her right now, see if I get her on, because I'm on CKNW today. And I'm like, I gotta fill some holes. And you text her while I'm talking. So yeah, totally credible and really qualified person for the job of park board commissioner. And with NPA, an easy win, I think, for her in that election coming up in October 15th. One of the few NPAers that probably would win, along with Melissa DeGenova on council. This is a big loss for the NPA. I thought it was interesting because Fred Harding is the new mayoral candidate, and I did notice at the press conference, I didn't see Trisha in the shots. I didn't think anything about it because sometimes, these things happen and you can't make it. Not everybody can make these things because people have jobs when they're running for office. And if you hold something in the middle of the day on a weekday, it's tough. So I didn't think anything of it, but I didn't see her in the shot unless she was there and I missed it. But that's telling. And I wonder if this is related to the announcement that Fred Harding is a mayoral candidate for NPA, and he was former mayoral candidate for a one-time party, I think maybe two-time Vancouver First party that a lot of the people that were behind Vancouver First took over the NPA board. There was a basic takeover 3 years ago of that board, of those people of the NPA board, a coup, as it were. And so
can I just jump in right there and you can explain this, because I know there's
sure.
a lot to unpack here. In particular, that coup, that takeover, that moment in time, I remember it vividly because of how this party, the purple sign nonpartisan association, this conservative leaning, smaller government, fiscally conservative party in municipal politics, with the change in the board, from my novice perspective, appeared to go way right.
Yeah, it was an interesting process. I mean, I know more things than I probably can. There was a deal, I think, struck behind the scenes prior to the AGM, which I think was the last AGM the MPA had. So, which is at least 2-3 years ago. I can't even.
At least it's before COVID.
I think there was a deal struck with some people. People got into bed with each other, which is not uncommon. It's very common in politics. And then backstabbing, and then there's internal, and then basically there were some good people that were on the board, that got on the board actually at that time, and then they slowly left because they were frustrated. And
I got a lot of DMs from those people, the ones that were leaving, that are like, would not believe what's happening here, and I'm like, tell me what's happening, and they're like, I can't.
That's right. Yeah, and so as a result, what was left was some of the people that are certainly right of center. And here we are today. That's led to the formation of ABC Party, which is,
Ken
Sim, who ran for mayor for MPA last time, so unsuccessfully. So,
So Ken Sim, who was very close to winning the mayor's office, within 1,000 votes, we'll call it, who then moved away from the MPA, and then John Cooper was the candidate, and then John Cooper moves away from the MPA, and now it's Fred Harding. So let's talk about Fred Harding a little bit.
Vancouver first takeover of
full Vancouver
MPA.
First, but Fred Harding, correct me if I'm wrong, did not finish strongly, shall we say?
I think he got. I forget. He got, but I thought it was either 5,000 or 9,000 votes. I honestly,
it was 5,900. It was 5,900.
That's why
you're 5 and you're 9. Yeah. See, I'm here for you, buddy.
So 5,900. That's for a startup party with very little money and very niche, and there was we're up against several parties. It's not a bad I think the other startup party at that time was Yes with Hector Bremner. He got 15,000 votes. I believe so. These things add up, but and as a result, I think that 5,000 votes would have gone to MPA, and that would have led to Ken Sim winning. And
nobody thinks about those things.
This splintering thing is happening again this election, and that's why I keep saying the results will likely be the same as the last election. But the implosion of MPA, clearly, with Tricia leaving, it's another this is all good news to certainly ABC and potentially team. But right now, with the money being spent by ABC on advertising, I'm on CKNW every day for the last 2 weeks, and their commercials are running every half hour. And I own an advertising agency, so I know what that costs. It ain't cheap. And so they're in politics. There's an air war versus a ground war in an election campaign. And an air war is when you focus on your advertising budget, and usually it's either digital or whatever, radio, TV, print. Air war being media. The ground war is like door knocking, signs, grassroots kind of stuff. Get out there, pound the pavement. Ideally you can do both, but you usually can't afford to do both because the money.
You got to focus on one. If you water it down too much, nothing works.
That's right.
You gotta
That's right, and it's only August, so now it's September 1st. But those ads have been running.
What do you mean it's August?
Yeah, it's September 1st.
It's September.
It's September. Oh my God! And so those ads have been running at least for 2 weeks because I've heard them, which means they have a lot of money to spend if they're starting this early. And they also have a very robust ground campaign based on the tweets I've seen. So ABC's come out, fighting hard in the first out of the gate. They are also putting the Kennedy-Stewart into the defensive. And so I'll talk a bit about that because this is a key to success in politics. If you can put your competition into defense mode, you're winning. And so in the case, and they know that, everybody knows this, but it's how do you get there? It's not as easy as you think. So MPA has decided that road pricing is the issue that they're going to pound Kennedy-Stewart for. And he keeps saying, I didn't vote for road pricing. And I'm kind of, and it's true. They're both kind of true. And they're also both kind of false. It's kind of good. This whole road pricing thing is basically, you can't implement what they're imagining you can implement. It's just not possible in the city itself. New York just approved their road pricing. It's the first city in North America to do road pricing. Road pricing is when you basically charge people to drive their cars around. It can come in all sorts of forms. Eventually, it'll be based maybe on your phone or some kind of GPS system or something. Right now, the technology is not even close to where it needs to be. So generally, you do it through your taxation or through ownership of car or whatever, or your address or whatever. So it's really, really complicated. And so therefore, probably not a potentially profitable kind of thing to do. But of course, if you're a super left greeny person, you want to stop people driving their cars and you want people to stop coming into the city. Hey, road pricing is great. Even if you're not making any money, it can be very effective to do that. So, I think that even though Kennedy-Stewart, says he's not going to do it, I would say that, and I've had conversations and I'm being kind of like, trying to be logical and say, look, I know that staff are, because I speak to staff at City Hall still, I still connect with them, and they're saying that this is just not a thing that would work. But that isn't always, just because something doesn't make sense or doesn't work doesn't mean crazy politicians don't want to do it. And this council current council certainly is, with its left-leaning green agenda and the green washing that happens at council in Vancouver, don't let common sense get in the way of a stupid idea, I guess.
Right. I mean, that takes me back. That takes me, when you say greenwashing, it makes me crazy, because the dirt that is piled up in this city in the name of saving water in a place that it rains 300 days a year, it's like, come on. Yeah. Right. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. I did hear back from Trisha Barker. There's more news to come in an hour. So probably a different party perhaps that she might be running for park board with.
I would rather people don't do that. I don't like this bouncing around. It just looks, sorry, Trish, but if you're jumping to another party, I don't know. I just feel like, you know what, if you don't like the party you're in, and anyways, we'll see what she does, but I still like her, but I think it's just, I don't like this whole game playing that's going on. I guess I'm devoted to, when you join something, you sort of, I'm not a member of NPA anymore, but if I were to go back, I would try to fix it. I don't know if I'd start a new party. I don't know.
Right. So I'm getting the intel early, and this won't be posted until later. She said it's confidential until 10 a.m. So I'm allowed to say it here, because it's not going to be pushed out until later.
By the time we air this, we'll know.
And sometimes, we do get told things under embargo, because people need to get their ducks in a row. But I'm going to go back to what you were saying there about wanting to fix what's broken. And I like that about you, George. I really respect your commitment to, because you've done your due diligence on what you believe, right? And I think that it kind of does water down what a candidate stands for when they just easily sort of flip the switch. Oh, now I'm going to back this person. It is that, from a purely
like 2 weeks ago you hated that person, now you love them. I mean, really?
Right.
How's that possible?
And to a layperson like myself, who's actively trying to consume the minutia of behind the scenes politics, the spin that we're fed, this shell game turns me off. Mm-hmm. Right. Also, though, I am willing to trust somebody, the ilk of Trisha Barker, who would look at what she has been fighting within for some time, and trusting her enough to say, okay, well, I at the very least want somebody like you, with your character and with your drive, because I believe in what she stands for. And I don't even talk about my political leanings publicly. Mm-hmm. I know Trisha, and this is me liking her as a person. She has been somebody who, when my dad was in the latter days of his life, reached out to me and talked me through what I would expect, and discuss with, like, she cares about people. She cares about the city. She cares about the parks. She's frustrated with what's happened at the park board. It would have been so much easier for her to just give up. Honestly, it would have, in my opinion, but so I think she might be a little bit of an exception to the rule for me in the jumping, because I also don't like the jumping. I'm like, because I believe that Ken Sim was the NPA guy when in the last election he
was
was,
he?
I am the NP, but that's just it. From my optics
I mean, he's
side.
an opportunist. I would say that he's the ultimate opportunist. I would say.
So
I'm
what's
sorry.
Fred Harding?
Yeah, too. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. What do you believe in? I don't know. It's just it's really quite depressing in Vancouver right now. I'm not really impressed by anybody. It's kind of meh.
Can we talk about the battle that you were referencing on Twitter? I know we've jumped around a lot here, but Ken Sim going after Kennedy-Stewart and, like you said, getting him sort of on his back foot, getting the mayor on his back foot here.
Yeah,
it's working because people are like, "You're going to pay. I'm going to pay what to go downtown?"
Yeah,
and you,
working, of course,
you've been talking for a year about what this is actually all about. So say once again, George, what you've been saying for more than a year.
About what? Sorry, about road pricing or about politics? Road price. Well, I mean, I think I kind of touched on it, but I think it's really about charging people to have their cars in the city, and whether you're a person coming into the city or if you're a person, leaving the city or living in the city. I have to just close my window because there's some people outside.
Go ahead. So I'm going to be more clear in my question here because it's not as much about explaining road pricing, but the fact that, and Justin McElroy of CBC did a good story on this about how many times it's been mentioned. It was like 63 times. And how many votes have actually happened on it? 0.
Yeah.
So this is definitely election season because you can fire up, but staff is still studying it.
I know. And, hey, the key with, it's not even the road, the issue with road pricing is not, to me, and I think that what I said earlier, that if, potentially a left-wing council gets in, a green council, they will push forward some kind of whatever they could possibly do. We know that the provincial NDP are very against road pricing because they got rid of the tolls that were very successful on the bridges to win an election. I'd like a reporter to do this story. How many people have died on the highways and on the bridge since they got rid of the tolls? I'm going to tell you right now, there's people who are dying because we got rid of those tolls. And I think there's data points when you get rid of things like that, that need to be addressed. Tolls I'm a big fan of tolls. To be honest, I think that they are effective ways to manage traffic and to, user pay kind of model, but you have to create a fairer system. When you want to build it's triple part, the bridges were a partnership. And so therefore the person who built the bridge, the company that built the bridge, was in partnership and had a revenue way to make their money back. So it cost us, the taxpayers, as a capital cost less. Unlike road pricing in a city where the roads are already built. And so you sort of we already paid for these roads. Now you're going to make us pay again. We already pay for these roads through our taxes. If you're going to do road pricing, and I want a reduction. This is where, when you add a new tax, and road pricing is taxes, I want to see a reduction on the other side. This is not fair. Just like when we had the tax on, the environment provincially, where we had
carbon tax.
The carbon tax, it was revenue neutral. You're going to bring in a new tax, you better make it sure it's revenue neutral for me, because I'll be pissed if it's not. And that's the key to successful taxation. But the key to successful campaigning is a different game. And this is an issue that ABC has enough information on to make Kennedy look bad. He's in the defensive. It's likely that they will bring in something of some form, even though it won't be successful if they do win. If the people like Christine Boyle and the Green Party and they dominate council like they do now, it's likely they will. But you know what? We talk about this a lot, Jody. Vancouver's a centrist city. It's a fairly left city. I'm not sure how effective this campaign that ABC thinks is a winning formula for success. It's almost bordering on the anti-bike lane kind of attitude. Like, you're sort of saying, so you're pro-car? What are you saying, ABC? I think it's a dangerous way to lose the mushy middle in Vancouver. And I think Kennedy-Stewart, instead of taking the defensive, should say, I didn't say that. But what I do believe in is we have to take care of our environment. He needs to get out of defensive and get into offensive and say, hello, ABC. So are you against saving our planet? Because that appears to me what you're saying. So you don't like bike lanes. You don't like road pricing. You don't like parks. You said you wanted to dismantle the park board. Now you can't even make a decision about things. Yeah. What do you stand for about one of the most important issues in on Earth, literally, and around Earth, is our environment? What if you don't support? Okay, you don't support the road tax. Fine, I don't want it either. I think it's it doesn't work. It's not going to work for us. I've said that. This is me as Kennedy-Stewart. But what I will say to you, Vancouver, is I believe that we need to save the environment, and we need to do anything we can as a city. And the number one thing that the city can do, by the way, is it's really about heating and cooling systems in buildings. If you want to make a change in the city, it's really neighborhood energy, for example, or even like Ian Gillespie's company, which is called Creative Energy. And he bought out what was Vancouver Steamworks, which was a steam system we have in our city, and he's replacing this. And it's a way to heat buildings. It's a very efficient approach, but of course it was powered by natural gas and before that, I think coal. So he's trying to find a way to make that work and spread that through the city. We have a neighborhood energy, which heats the Olympic Village through sewage. These are things that you can heat and cool a building without using electricity, without using oil or gas. Our carbon footprint as a city just blows it out of the water as far as positive. If you want to make a difference in the city, that's what you should focus on. And it's not very complicated because we have the infrastructure already set in place with neighborhood energy and creative energy and potentially others like Terracin or whatever they're called now, the gas companies and whoever else, hydro. There's ways to do this, and I think that's what the city should prioritize. Anyway, my point is, Kennedy-Stewart shouldn't go right into defense mode. He needs to go hit back, and he's not.
Right. It's going to be something as we get ever closer. Here we are, September 1st, and we all go to the municipal polls on George's birthday, October 15th. 2022. I also want to just, before we move on to COVID-19 and what we are staring down.
By the way, just so you know, because I'll be on CTV that night with Diane Watts, so doing the color commentary, as it were, on election night. On my birthday, I'll be working
on the birthday. We work.
CTV. We work on CTV on election night because that's where I'll be. Just want to plug a little plug there.
Little plug there. I do want to mention federally. Politically, before we get to the Omicron new variant approval of that vaccine, because that's an important piece to get to here. But federally speaking, we had Prime Minister Justin Trudeau come out and commit to a significant investment in affordable housing across the country. And it speaks to exactly what you've said. What broke Vancouver way back when? It feels like
Canada.
Right? But certainly when we talk about Vancouver, like what went wrong? And you've said this went away. It looks like they might. It's a slow walk. Walk seems a little late. I'm just saying, but that's happening. And
I've done the math. What they need to spend. It's basically to build. It's about 500,000 per unit, let's say, to build. And if we're 50,000 short, so do the math. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
500,000 times 50,000. You listener, do the math. You want to do that?
You do the math. I'm going to do the math.
Billions and billions of dollars that has not been spent in the last 30 years.
Yeah, we got some catching up to do. Also want to catch up on the Chrystia Freeland story. The native of Alberta, born and raised in high-level Alberta, Chrystia Freeland, now famously, everybody's seen the video of her being absolutely attacked at the City Hall in Grand Prairie, verbally harassed and cornered what would happen if those elevator doors hadn't closed when they did? A couple of women in there with their videos thinking, look, I got oh my God, what have you become, people?
Big guy, really big guy.
Yeah.
Just dominating the doorway.
Put him in jail.
And I'm glad to see that all the leaders have come out and spoken against it. Although, Pierre-Poli have kind of said, well, yeah, we all get harassed a little bit, but this is different. And you have to take a strong position on this. It's not cool. And I hate the fact that, and we had some issues in Vancouver on council when I was there, and it's even worse now as far as security. Before you could walk in there, no problem, have a seat. Then there were some incidences that led to more security, and it's unfortunate and it's sad. And as a former politician, I want people to be able to approach me. I think that's important that there's not this barrier between you and the people.
That's what I like the most. But that's what I like the most about when he first shouted, Chrystia Freeland or Minister Freeland. I think he said Chrystia Freeland. She said, yes. Right? She was so open to whomever and however. And even if he had said, I have a bone to pick with you about blah, 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 she probably would have stood there and heard it. We've seen her manage and handle somewhat explosive situations. But somebody what the F are you doing? And he's big and and who knows what it looked like. Is that a weapon that he's got on his belt? There's a lot about this And then watching the videotape end with them like high-fiving in the parking lot.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
What is it in you that makes you feel good about doing that to another human? I don't care what your politics are. That could have been Pierre Poilievre in the elevator, frankly, and I would have a similar reaction other than Pierre Poilievre is a man, and it is different for women. It just is. And guys who are coming at me going like, what happens to him?
Nobody wants to be cornered in an elevator. I mean,
nobody.
That's just the worst.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. Anyways, we had to like speak. I don't think that's over. I think there's more to come on that. And I also believe with, not a lot of time to go here, that there's more to come on the Lisa Laflamme story as that continues to top the news cycle. Do you think she gets her job back?
No. Why would you want that job back? They took 4 days to respond to her video, Bell, I think it was. It's a lesson in bad communications, that's for sure. In corporate communications, Unreal. You are in a crisis. As soon as she dropped that video, you're in crisis mode, and you need to put a plan together. And they didn't. That's what's shocking. But
then they're like, we'd like to tell you the truth of what happened, but we can't because there's an NDA. So they've kind of left it open that it's not about age, it's not about her hair, it's about something else. That should break an NDA because that leaves a cloud of, something worse. Yeah. Right? Anyway.
I don't know. You and I work in media. It's not a good time to work in the media. You're starting a new show, which is great. You work for an independent company. That's great. We do this
We own the show.
The world is changing, though, for sure. The way we work, it's evolving. And I think, and this is not, it's just, you got to prepare yourself to be flexible. You got how many gigs that you do? And that's the way it works now in the media.
8.
If you want to work as successful as in the media world that we live in now, you got to multitask 100%. You can't, and as an agency owner from a marketing side, if I don't keep up with the way things are changing all the time, my company's evolved 4 times in the last 10 years because of the way marketing has changed. If I don't do that, I'm out of business. So, it's the same for when I was a journalist, I joined the gig economy early on as a journalist. I mean, I was at CBC for 6-7 years, and then I was freelancing after that because I prefer it. I'm not a very good employee.
Me too. I hate meetings. Tell me the results of your meeting. I'll be over here doing other things. I can.
Well, and to show up every day at the same time, and all the time. What? Every day I got to show up at the same time. Are you kidding? I've been doing that for 2 weeks now, and I'm like, oh, poof. In fact, I got to get out of here because I got to produce a show.
That's right. It's Friday. Okay. Last but not least, just in this last few minutes, it was just announced this morning that there has been approval on a new Moderna multivariant Omicron booster. And we're looking at I didn't, but I'm eligible in another 2 months. And I figure they're going to go through vulnerable community levels first. But if not, I can still wait. I feel good about that. But the good news is it's like 8-fold protection.
Wow. I didn't hear that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is.
I don't even know what that means, but it sounds good.
How about back to school? How you feeling? You got one going back. I got one going back.
I'm total cash about this. I think this whole school thing. In BC, we were always a bit more casual. We did that. We were out of there for a while, and that was really frustrating as a parent because I'm not a teacher. And it was strange that Ontario took forever, and we were just. So our perception of reality is a bit different here, I think, than say Ontario, which is grappling with and people are fighting more. But there's still people here in BC who are uptight about this and want kids to wear masks and all that stuff. And I'm like,
but here's the deal:
all my kids are like COVID.
Okay, we haven't yet, but speaking to you, I'm a little bit more George than ever before.
What?
In that, I know. Well, we're fully boosted, right? We're going to get the shots that we are. My kid is up to date on all of his immunizations. He got his Hep B, Hep C, HPV, all of it. He is up to date, which a lot of kids aren't right now, which is, I think, scarier than all other things.
My kid is, my youngest is not. He's got to get his HPV.
Get up to date on the things. But with my boy, my thing is carry a mask. And if you find yourself in a small space with people you're not usually around, put your mask on. Like, wash your hands. If you feel at all unwell, you're going to stay home.
Oh, yeah. Well, my kid washes his hands too much. It's funny, though. They have no problem with this. We're carrying the mask and all that stuff.
They don't.
I don't even ask Quinn he just has it.
Same.
He likes wearing it.
Yeah. My kid just got a job. He applied for a job yesterday and got one. It's going to be dishwashing in a restaurant.
That's what Quinn wants to do. I'm like, yeah, they need dishwashers. Which
they
one?
do.
Oh, I bet you I know which one. I bet you can put. I think Pierce worked there. I bet you down the street.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I bet you it is. Cool. That's great. Wow. Yep. Well, then you start charging them rent.
Correct. I'm going to make him wealthy barber the hell out of it and put 10% away. That's what I'm going to do. The rest he can spend on vinyl and video games and guy liner.
Make him read the book first so he understands what you're doing.
I will.
It's a good book.
It is a good book.
All right. I got to go produce a show.
Peace out, man.
Have a great, next we'll be recording this on Fridays from now on. So for those who are listening and watching, the show now will come out on Friday afternoons as opposed to Thursday evenings. Because Jody will be doing Steele and Vance on Thursday nights. So you can watch that on where?
On Check,
which
Check
is on
TV.
your television.
On your television, or you can download
Channel 6, I think, when I was a kid.
It was Check 6 back then. Check 6. Plus is the app on your Apple TV, or you can download it anywhere in the world. There's no guardrails. There's no charge for anything. There are no paywalls at all. And one thing I want to note about Check, which makes me so proud, Check Media is the only employee-owned media outlet in North America.
Nice. Independent. Cool. Well, break a leg. Is that what I say to when you're starting the show? All right, break a leg. See you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.